Hi, this is Robin, your tax therapist, and today we are going to talk about tariffs, the good, the bad, and the ugly. In my previous video, I spoke about how tariffs raise revenue and offset the cost of TCJA, which is the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, and how that benefits the American public. If you have not watched it, then take the time to go back and look at it. Otherwise, let me recap. All of us have heard about tariffs in the past few weeks. It's all over the news. But do we really know what they are and what they do? Today I have invited Tamara Neely again to come and speak with us and to inter dialogue over the issues of tariffs. And now I'd like to introduce to you my friend Tamara Neely. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Robin. I sure appreciate it.
You're quite
this
welcome.
Is pretty special, the fact that I get to come on here again hang out with y'all. This is the best show. Besides, of course, I'm going to
have her show too.
Of course, I have a show too. But you have an amazing show, Robin. You're doing a great job.
Well,
I'm
thanks.
super excited to have just the opportunity to be on here again.
Thanks.
So thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Yeah.
You're quite welcome. So as I said, tariffs have been all over the news, and a lot of us have heard a lot about what goes on with tariffs, but do we really know what they are, what they do?
Well, to be honest, I don't think a lot of people know. So that's why I'm so glad we're sitting with the tax therapist, because if I'm being honest, most people don't even understand what's going on because they're so distracted by what is happening in the news and everything. And I understand that people are distracted by what's going on with little Timmy and, little, I don't know, name a daughter's name, but the kids are distracting and everything. We love the kids, but
and they're getting ready to be out of school.
They're getting ready to be out of school for the summer, and y'all need to be prepared for what's happening in June. Okay,
that's right.
Because the tariffs are going to hit.
Yeah, the tariffs are going to hit. So they do raise revenue. They're also used as a negotiating tool between other countries, and that's really important too. They do raise revenue, and they do allow for deductions on your tax return, so it allows you to be able to take those additional deductions and to allow the government to continue to operate and to be able to reduce the tax liability on your tax return. So, which does help benefit all Americans. But conversely, just as they do that, they also raise the cost of living.
Right. And so I like how last week we were able to talk about the good and, why this is important, because it's important to have tariffs because they're used as a negotiation tool. And that's why President Trump is using them, because he says he wants to level the playing field because there have been countries who have been taking advantage of the American people. And so he's trying to make sure that he brings businesses back to America. And that was his campaign promise. And he's fulfilling that promise. Well, we know that there are a lot of good benefits to doing that, but we also know that it takes time to actually see that all the way through. And so there is going to be some pain. And I just think that it's very important to have conversations like this because you want people to be prepared. Okay.
So what I wanted to let you guys know is that there are some issues regarding the containers that are coming across from other countries. And we have a small clip that we want to play for you guys from that we watched that we thought that you would benefit from. So without further ado, here's the clip.
Good afternoon, Brianna. It's all tariff related, whether it be China, which now if you buy a product from there, it's 2.5 times more expensive than it was just last month. The 10% tariffs on all other countries, including those in the Pacific Rim that we trade with, are also expensive. So we saw some big companies bring inventory in over the last 9 months to try to build up stock. Not everyone had the ability to do that and store. Those small to middle-sized companies are really in a quandary right now.
As you can see from the video, we have an issue with the containers that are coming, not just from China, but from all over the world. Some of these are being turned around, some of them are being stored, some are not making them to the store shelves. So the larger retailer is going to have no problem because they've ordered ahead of time. But your small mom and pop store is going to have a significant problem because they did not have the resources in order to be able to plan ahead for this event. So my question to you is this: if that item in the store rises 10 or 20%, you're probably going to go ahead and pay for it. But if it starts to rise 30, 50, or even higher, do you really need that item? Do you really need that shirt? Do you really need that piece of clothing? Now, if it's food, yeah, you're going to consume it. You're going to need it. You're going to pay for it regardless, right? Unless you decide that you don't want that can of beans, or you don't want, and you change up what you're actually eating. That's one thing, okay? Mm-hmm. That is one way that you could potentially save. But what we call in economics is called price elasticity. Mm-hmm. And what it does is it measures the response of the quantity demanded of a good or service to its change in price. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're talking about, is we as the consumer are going to be picking up that extra cost. They're passing it on. So it's not something that they're eating the cost of. Now, they might on some of them, but at some point they're going to stop doing that, and they're going to start charging us for it. In fact, you were showing me a video earlier about a company that's going to start charging for shipping when you purchase a product instead of giving it to you for free.
Shein, actually, and some of you may not know what Shein is. It's a well-known online store, a woman's accessory store. You can buy very affordable shirts and dresses and business attire and things of that nature on the website, and they happen to be based in China. And so they're based in China, from my understanding, and they have decided that they're no longer going to be offering free shipping to VIP members, because obviously they're having to change quite a bit to accommodate the new tariffs and the new policies. And so it seems like that's the beginning of so much more.
Yeah. It also may make you choose to decide to purchase from one store or another store. So all of a sudden, not only just in terms of price elasticity for a specific retailer that you happen to like to purchase from, you may choose to go to a different store that maybe has a better option. Maybe they planned ahead, maybe they didn't plan ahead, maybe they can just negotiate some of that. So it's going to start to become scarce. Right? So you're going to have a harder time finding some of the things you want. Now, when it comes to clothing, you might go, I don't really need that shirt. I don't really need those pair of pants. But when it comes to things that you consume on a regular basis that you really need, that might be a different situation.
And what I'll say is this, because I just kind of thought about it. Americans are not used to having a scarcity mindset because we have an abundance of, material items and things like that. And so, my great grandma, she grew up in the, I believe, silent generation. So she grew up, experiencing the Great Depression. Like, she understands what that's like, kind of the tail end of that, and so her parents obviously had that sort of mindset of, we have to ration and things like that. And so to this day, my great grandma can cook for 40, 50 people on a small budget. Okay. Because she's able to kind of make it all stretch. Right. And so I think that there needs to be a balanced approach, in my opinion, when it comes to making adjustments to accommodate this new change.
Right.
Because if you become too scarce, and you focus too much on, I don't have enough, then you're not going to be generous. And there are going to be people who need help in your community.
Right. And not only that, but it slows economic growth. Now, there will be some increase as more and more manufacturing companies are coming back to the United States. There's going to be job growth in that area, and we talked about that in the other video as well. However, in certain sectors, there's going to be a decrease. So let's say those containers don't come over to America. The ports are now, the individuals that work there are not going to have a job, right? Or they're not going to be able to work as much, or they might even get laid off. The 18-wheelers or the individuals that drive those semis may not be able to carry as much load. As a result of that, they may not have as much income either, or may become unemployed as well. So there's going to be some areas where it's going to be a real challenge. So, and at the end of the day, do we really, are we going to be better off? That's really the question that we all ask, right? And the answer is, for some, yes, for some, no. But in general, I think that we're going to be tightening our belt a little bit here.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say this too. This is why it's important to work together. And we live in an individualistic society, which has a lot of benefits. Having that, go-getter mindset, that's wonderful. But I'm telling you, ladies, this is a good time to start getting on those dating apps. Okay? I'm just saying, this is a good time to secure a man, because, you're gonna need them, and society is saying women don't need men. But I am telling you, if this is real and what you're saying, which I believe that it is coming, I've been hearing of this for a while, then we are definitely going to make sure that we need to make sure that our families are together, close knit, and that you're preparing for the future, because this is real. This is real life. This is not a joke, even though we're kind of talking about it on YouTube, and YouTube is kind of this entertainment platform, and people may not always understand, but this is real life,
Yeah. Well, another thing too is things become scarce. Sometimes panic buying ensues. You were talking about hoarding a little bit earlier, right? So we don't want to be hoarders, but we do want to stock up, right? So buy an extra, couple cans of items that you would normally consume. Buy a computer if you need one for school in the fall. Go ahead and get the clothes for the kids. Yeah, they might grow a little bit, so that might be a little bit harder in order to determine if you need it. Don't hoard toilet paper like we did during COVID. But think about COVID, right? When you were locked down for a period of time, things became scarce at the house and you had to go to the store and buy it. And sometimes you went to the store and it just wasn't there either. So take a deep breath. It's how do you handle it, right? Where do we go from here?
What do we do next? Yeah.
It's not all negative. It's not all positive. But don't be surprised, and things can be practical things that we can do. So there is a friend of mine that I've listened to on YouTube, and so we've got a little clip of him too. He talks about that it could start in June. We are now in May. So we will show a short clip of that as well.
Crisis coming in June? That's what one Wall Street firm is saying.
Anyway, but while things are being negotiated, and based on some retailers' foresight, they may have stocked up on some items and can get ahead of the curve of the tariffs. Smaller companies may not have the resources to do so. Many retailers only have a 1 or 2 month supply of inventory, which most people don't think about, because you go to the grocery store and there's always something on the shelf, right? So what you may start to see is, when we were in COVID, you start to see a little bit of shortages in certain areas. So don't hoard, but buy extra, save up, get your car serviced, get a new car if you need a new car, right? Get that taken care of now, because parts for your vehicle may be hard to come across, right? This could linger on for several months. It may not just be June. It could be June, July, August, September. We don't know, right? But be aware that you're not the only one. Save up for your medication. Get your medication 90 to 120 days, right? Some of those places like Script Express or whatnot, sometimes you can get more than just your 30-day supply, especially if it's something you really, really need, especially when it comes to like medication and things like that. That's really, really key. But in conclusion, we're in a recession, whether the government or the news reports it. We have been in one for quite some time. This happened long before Trump became in office. But we can expect COVID-like shortages on products that from China and from other countries come in this summer, especially from China. And we may end up with, at some point, a big holiday where, crazy, hoarding ensues and people get, scared and whatnot. Do not be afraid. It is only temporary. It will fix itself. It always has. We've been a country for a really long time. We are very resourceful people in America, and we want to help others. We don't want to just be hoarders and keep it to ourselves, because other people are really going to hurt. And we don't need to have riots in the street over this. We just need to have a situation where everybody remains calm and cool. And if you believe in God, then I say, take the time to pray and ask Him for, what you can do to help others, as well as what He's going to do to help you. And there's always hope in Him. So with that, I would like to thank Tamara for coming on and participating. And hopefully you got a lot of the information that you needed and understand tariffs a little bit more. And if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. Again, this is Robin, your tax therapist.